Next up, we have Dimity McDowell. She is the founder of Another Mother Runner. She's written 3 books, and she's a coach, author, entrepreneur, and it's pretty impressive, yeah. Another Mother Runner podcast has over 50,000 downloads per month. And the website and everything encourages runners across the globe to basically prepare for various running challenges. And she's going to be presenting on a topic that I think it's actually one of the biggest pain point we see for coaches, and that is increasing exposure and finding new athletes. And Dimity's done a very, very good job of that with her business, Another Mother Runner, and she's going to help you do the same.
Thank you very much. So I brought some treats because I'm a mom, and yesterday afternoon I really wanted some chocolate, so there's some peppermint patties. Is it on? Is it good? Okay. So help yourself if that sounds good to you. My first name is Dimity, and I am the co-founder of Another Mother Runner. I have a business partner who lives in Portland, Oregon. Her name is Sarah Bowen Shea. And I'm kind of coming from a different perspective, and it's a little bit off of the data and the watts and the splits and the PRs. And that we kind of say that we lead from the middle of the pack, Sarah and I do. As you guys probably well know, women make up more than half of the running races, the population, and except for the marathon, and the marathon is catching up quickly, so we are dominating every race that's up to the marathon. Triathlon is about 40% women, and I definitely feel like that market's about to explode with more women as they get more confident in their athleticism and their skills. And so just wanted to kind of give you guys a little introduction, and the way that I want to do that, to kind of place where I'm going to speak from, is to read from our 3rd book a little bit. This is called Tales from Another Mother Runner. It came out in March. It completed our Mother Runner trilogy, just like Shades of Grey. We're just 50,000 copy million trillion short of beating 50 Shades of Grey. And the Hunger Games trilogy. But anyway, so this has 22 essays in it from a range of mother runners who, everyone who's running their first 5K to beat their genetic destiny, up to a woman who, ran her first marathon, ultra marathon, and happened to finish first. And in it, we cover divorce, we cover affairs, we cover infertility, we cover depression, and all the stuff of life, all kind of tied up through the bow of running. And so this essay is called Who Needs Prada? I've Got Coach. And it's from a really talented writer out of Philadelphia named Bethany Meyer. And she hired a coach to help her through Ragnar. She was selected for a Ragnar team, no idea how to train for, to run 3 times in about 30 hours. So she hired a coach. And like I said, I'm not going to read the whole thing, just a couple paragraphs to kind of place our perspective. I love running for the way it leans out my body, which is curvy from head to toe. I love it for the way it nurtures my friendships, which sometimes suffer when the balance tips to favor my family of 5 males, 1 husband, 4 sons. I love it for its methodical ease of putting one foot in front of the other to get from here to there. I love it for its complicated side, that intangible force that pulls me to wake up before sunrise to log miles or to tap into a part of me I never knew existed to complete a grueling workout or cross a finish line. And I love it for the way it quiets my mind, which is typically jumbled with all things mom. Where are my library books? Where's my baseball uniform? Is Dad coming to my game? Where's my retainer? Am I going to Jack's birthday party? Did you get a gift? Can I have a play date? He's had 2 play dates. When's going to be my turn for a play date? Can I buy this app? What should I wear? Does my suit need dry cleaning? Where's my belt? Are we out of chicken nuggets? Can I buy lunch tomorrow? Did you make cheeseburgers tonight? Did I turn on the crock pot? Did I turn off the oven? Did you take your medicine? Has anyone fed the cat? It's the thinking that I do, the thinking for all of us, that does me in. And so I run. And I think that's important because sometimes I think this endurance world gets so focused on the numbers, and yes, they count, and everybody wants to go faster, and everybody wants a PR and to see their name in the top third of race results. But only 3 people are going to stand on a podium. And there are a lot of women out there that are running for a lot of reasons beyond the numbers on the clock. We run to lose weight, to beat depression, to have time by ourselves, to have, I say happy hour now is at 5:30 in the morning, because that's when I can talk to my friends uninterrupted. It's not 5:30 at night anymore. I can't make those times, There are, to listen to your own music, just to be in your own headspace and process things. And I know that men find those things too, but it's really come to light with Another Mother Runner. This is comprehensive reason why women are out there. And so Bethany goes and hires a coach to get her through Ragnar, and of course she wants the performance. She wants to be able to finish 3 legs really strong and not let her team down. But then there are also other reasons why she's coming to her coach. And I'm going to read a couple paragraphs about those, which you guys are probably familiar with, but it's just good to reiterate. There's, first of all, accountability, of course. So she and her coach communicated via Smartsheet. So he asked questions like, how far did you go? How long did it take you? What was the temperature? What time of day did you run? What shoes did you wear? How did you feel? And comments about the run. And she said, my comments section read like a diary. Today I ran 6 miles at 2 p.m. It was 92 degrees. I hate running in the heat. Absolutely loathe it. I usually stop running altogether in the summer. That's how much I hate running in the heat. I was working much harder than the time on my watch said. Maybe my watch is broken. I'm serious. I never hit a groove. My legs didn't feel it. My music sucked. It was terrible from start to finish. Blah, blah, blah. The next entry read, so I got my period today, which is probably why I felt altogether like shit yesterday. You don't have any sisters, do you? Sorry, oversharing. Never mind. In related news, sometimes it sucks to be a girl. Today, I logged 4 miles and felt amazing. Crushed it, too legit to quit. And yes, I'm dancing like MC Hammer in my kitchen as I type this. So again, like just having someone there to tell that to, it sounds really basic, but sometimes if you are a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home parent, you know how isolating that can be. Like, up the slide, down the slide, up the slide, down the slide. That is not an engaging day. So to have an adult to actually say like, oh my gosh, this is what happened. And you know, I'm sure you guys all know your spouses are hopefully supportive of the endurance world that, you know, but sometimes they don't get it. And even, you know, my husband's an athlete too. And sometimes, you know, like he just doesn't want to hear how my run was. He's too wrapped up in his own run or too wrapped up in his own thing. So to have that accountability and have someone to be your teammate is huge. Also being present. You got to pay attention during your runs, which is not a strength of mothers, you know, or women in general. We're always kind of looking forward and always multitasking in our mind. And like I read that first thing about what she thinks about. So again, the running miles forced me to be present during the training miles also forced me to be present during my runs in a way I've never been. Running with friends has always meant shifting my body to autopilot and catching up on one another's lives. Running alone has meant finding just the right music or podcast to mirror the intensity of my workout. My spreadsheet was a reminder to tune in, not out. In order to get the full benefits of all Coach had to teach me, I owed it to both of us to pay attention. In the heat, on the hill, once a day, twice a day. How does this feel? Right now, in this spot, Coach wants to know. I want to be able to tell him. So you've got a real power in that, and that you are teaching them. I mean, that is one of the hardest things, is to live in that moment. And when, especially when you're in a tough workout and it's, you know, it's intervals or something like that, you are teaching them a really important life skill. And then finally, the last thing is to challenge yourself and push yourself harder than you would. So being accountable to Coach meant demanding more of myself. Although it sounds harsh, the demands didn't leave me feeling drained. They actually gave me confidence. As a mom, I'm a lifter of spirits, encouraging my family as they navigate work, school, and relationships. While they support me in return, training with Coach was like having my own little cheerleader who is not rooting for me in 1 second and then asking for a ham sandwich. And there is something to be said for encouragement that comes sans a request for deli meat. It feels more authentic. So that's just a little bit of the perspective of where I'm going to come from with this talk. So again, like coming for a lot of reasons, running for a lot of reasons, and wanting a coach for a lot of reasons. And again, like the numbers on the clock, hard and fast, awesome, but there's a lot more emotional side to it that I think needs to be addressed as you try to find new clients. So just a little bit about background about me and another mother runner. I was a sports and fitness writer for like 17 years. I worked in New York at a bunch of different magazines. I'm still a contributing editor to Runner's World. So I've written a lot. And what happened back in 2006 is I was pregnant with my second child. And I had suffered pretty bad postpartum depression with my first. And I was really, really not willing and scared to go back to that hard, dark place again. And so I decided I was going to run a marathon when I was pregnant. Not while I was pregnant, but after I had the child, I was going to run a marathon. And so I recruited my now business partner, Sarah Bowen Shea, to run with me. We ran the Nike Women's Marathon in 2007. We wrote about a blog about it on Runner's World. We were the marathon moms and talked about, you know, how we got it done, dealt with occasionally unsupportive husbands, you know, the whole bit. And that turned into a feature story. which turned into Run Like a Mother. That came out in 2010. And what's different about Run Like a Mother and this whole Another Mother Run It community is the tone and the perspective. Like, we talk to women in this book like they would talk on a run. We talk, it's chatty, it's honest, it's empathetic, it's full of unsolicited advice, just trying to kind of get them to be at a place where running is accessible. Because I know it's kind of hard to believe when you're surrounded by people here and we know everybody's friendly and accessible here, but running, and especially triathlon, has this sheen about it that is so intimidating. And I really think to find new clients, you've got to break that down, especially if you want to go for that middle back of pack where the growth is. There is something, like not everyone wants to be an Ironman. Ironman, I mean, I've done one and I'm still intimidated by it. So I think that's important to keep in mind, is the perspective of coming from a space where not everybody is an athlete. Coming to it later in life. So Train Like a Mother, same perspective, 9 training plans in it, from a 5K finish it to a marathon own it plan. In between those 2 books, we changed our name to Another Mother Runner. Before that, everything was Run Like a Mother, which someone else had trademarked, so we were not allowed to use it anymore. And then finally, our 3rd book came out. So this trilogy kind of is what cements our community, and I call myself an accidental entrepreneur, because when Run Like a Mother came out, I didn't expect for it to kind of blossom the way that it has. I think there's been a lot of stories about that. We didn't set out to do what we're doing. I said I was always a writer. So anyway, so some pieces that we have today. We have a website where we post 5 times a week with different posts, and then we have a podcast that we put up weekly as well. So that goes up on Saturday, and it gets loaded into iTunes and such. We have giveaways in between 2 and 4 a month. We have our podcast. This has kind of been our runaway success. We have, I think AJ said, 50 to 60,000 downloads a month. And the reason we're about, I think, at 175 episodes now. The reason why this is done so well is that people like to listen when they run. I know it's pretty basic, but they're out on a run and we're their best running friends, and they don't even have to talk back to us, right? And you can be that person. It's not just Sarah. I mean, Sarah and I, we have guests on, we talk to each other, we talk about our weeks, and we have a guest on, and then we talk about something else, and then we close it. This is very doable, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, but that's one way to reach people that I don't think a lot of people have addressed yet. We have training challenges, and again, just trying to come at running from a different perspective. I think what often you think of as an athlete, you get so excited about race day, right? It's kind of like you get so excited about the wedding day, but you forget about the marriage. Same thing with racing. You get so excited about the race, and you kind of forget about the training sometimes. And so what we do with these training challenges is we want to make kind of the training the party. So it's 15 to 18-week challenges where we pull women in, we support them from their first step to the finish line. And so, in that we give them weekly newsletters with the training plan explained. We also give them the training plan at the very beginning. We send them swag at the beginning. At the end, they get a T-shirt and a medal. I mean, think what you want, but women love their medals. And so this is just, we'll talk a little bit about this later, but group challenges are a really good way to kind of herd the cats together and let the momentum carry them instead of you having to touch each individual one. We have a special podcast for them. We have a private Strava page for them, a private club where you can go in and ask any question. So this has been, we've done 5 of these, and we've had about 400 women in each one, and there are a lot of repeaters because they find this support and the communication and the connection that they don't find anywhere else. And you guys can easily replicate this, and I'm happy to answer questions about them. We also just have straight up training plans on TrainingPeaks, which are good. And then we have a lot of partners. And so Saucony is our premier partner. We have Noon, we have GU, we have Belega. And Sarah and I were both sports and fitness writers. We had a ton of gear contacts, I won't lie. We had a lot of contacts to start with and a lot of relationships to start with, so this was a lot easier than coming in from the cold. But I will say that every single one of our partners are people products that we believe in, products that make my life either better as a runner, better as a mother, easier, something like that, something that I genuinely use. We don't partner with products that complicate my life. I have enough complications as it is. And then we have a social media piece, of course. We have Instagram, where I know the panel yesterday was talking about, I think it was Hugh that was talking about having their elite athletes take over their Instagram account for the day. We just do it on ours and hashtag it a day in the life of AMR, day in the life of another mother runner. And it's really fun. I mean, we've had a missionary from Liberia. We've had an Australian woman. We've had our last one is a woman whose son had epilepsy. So again, it brings in that whole comprehensive piece of life that shows other people how they get it done and validates their lifestyle. We have Facebook. I think we have about 45,000 fans right now. And when we started back in 2009, our publicist for Run Like a Mother said, you need a Facebook page. And I was like, I don't think so. I just go on Facebook to get jealous of other people's vacation photos. Like, it's not going to be a thing. Well, it is a thing. And what we did, instead of to make it about us, is that we turned it around and made it about them. So, someone would post a question, and we would turn it around and say, Dimity is having this problem with her husband. He doesn't support her running. What would you do? And we kind of became the Dear Abby of women's running by doing that. So, crowdsource things. It doesn't always have to be you being the expert. People love to give advice. People love to tell their stories. And then we have Twitter. And then we've got the in-person part. And I should say, this is my full-time job right now. I mean, this looks like a lot. I work 40+ hours a week easily on this. So just FYI. So we do parties. Back in 2010, we did a typical book tour with Run Like a Mother. It basically bombed. I spent a lot of time behind signing desks with nobody wanting me to sign their books. So in 2012, we reinvented it and thought of it as house parties, because we're marketing to the busiest population going, and they're not going to come downtown to a store on a Wednesday night to hear me talk. But they will come to their friend's house for a glass of wine, some prizes, some laughs, and a chance to, hear some reading and get inspired. And so that has turned into now, these parties that we do that get between 100 and 200 women. And again, we try to foster community. We have our trademark phrase is badass mother runner. That's kind of what we call ourselves. So we have a badass wall where they put up their goals, and we do a reading, and they come with their friends, and it's just this whole night of they leave so inspired. And yes, I talk and I read, but it's a lot of just momentum carrying them. And you can do this. You can do this with your clients. And then we did our first retreat in Little Rock in March, which I will say was awesome, and I did not put it together. It was awesome. It was also a shit ton of work and not very profitable. So if that's something that you're thinking about, I would suggest, we can talk about that. But here's some keys to the AMR success, what I feel like we've done organically that, again, we didn't set out to do. But the community part is so, so, so important. Like I said, motherhood is isolating. Parenthood is super isolating. Running is a solo sport. A lot of women pick it up after they have kids, when they're 35, when they're 40, and they want to be validated. They want to feel part of something. So we made it a team sport by creating this virtual team of mother runners around the world, and we all push each other out the door and push each other across the finish line. And certainly I want to beat you if I can, but even if I don't, I want the best for you too. Relatability, we lead from the middle of the pack. I realize this is a little bit different. My perspective, it would be different than a coach's perspective, but again, being relatable is really important. Not everything is golden PRs and easy workouts and nailing your intervals, right? It's true, but no one wants to show that side. No one really wants to talk about that. I'll talk about that all day long. I'll talk about my depression. I'll talk about how, I don't like a run until the last mile when I know I'm heading home, but I love how I feel after a run, and that's why I'm going to go out every single time. That resonates. I'm not saying, I nailed that 5-miler. I've never nailed a 5-miler, but I will do it again and again because I know how good and how important it is for all parts of my life. Accessibility, like I said, no question is too basic or too much information. I mean, again, this is a very co-ed crowd and it's not maybe going to resonate as much, but after you have a child, your body changes so fundamentally. And to not acknowledge that is huge, and not be aware of that as a male coach for a female is huge. I mean, there's everything from hemorrhoids to leaking to hip problems from carrying around a child on your hip for 3 years. That's why I have half my injuries is because I carried around tugboats on my hips for too long. So just, every Tuesday we have a TMI Tuesday Facebook post. And honestly now at this point, We get emails of people writing in with questions from everything from breast implants to, like I said, like leaking is a big one. Black bottoms are good. And then lifestyle validation. We validate what to a busy mother can feel like a selfish pursuit. And you can do that as well. Like, every single time someone says, oh, I don't know, I'm taking time away from my family. No, you're not. You're actually becoming a better person for your family because you're taking this hour to take care of yourself so you can take care of them better. So how does this apply to your business? There are a lot of ways and a lot of easy ways to cross-promote, cross-pollinate here. I think the biggest goal is to create a team-like atmosphere in a solo sport world. If you can do that, I think you're going to retain your clients, and then people are going to want to come into your community because everybody wants to belong to something, especially when they're out riding their bike for miles and miles and miles by themselves. It gets lonely out there. So I think focusing on your ideal athlete is super important. I realize that sometimes, if you only have 10 clients and they range from a junior up to a 65-year-old, it's hard to do that. But I would guess if you reflect on who you've coached, there's probably been a handful of people that you really resonated with, that you really be like, sweet, I'm so glad to have them in my roster, and I'm so glad to help them meet their goals. And I bet you that there's something in common with them, whether they have a hard time coming off the bike to run strong, or they're coming back from an injury, or they're going for a big race. I mean, maybe your deal is you just coach men that want to qualify for Boston, or maybe you focus on women who are coming back from pregnancy. Something that kind of, so then you get a community going because it's strongest when it's composed of individuals who can relate to each other and can trust that their leader can honestly relate to their experience. I think that's really, really important. So there's 3 ways to create this community. Social media, as you guys have, I kind of feel like the SAG Wagon a little bit, like I'm sweeping up at the end of everybody who's kind of told these tips before, but I'm going to hit a couple different things, but then also just repeat some things that I think make a lot of sense. Strategic partnerships, and then in person. So it's been said, but you got to be diligent about your social media. You can't tweet and then 2 weeks later decide to tweet again and wonder why you aren't getting any followers. So setting a schedule, I think 10 times a week for tweeting, Facebook 5 times a week, is a good place to start. And focusing on those 2 mediums, because I'm guessing a lot of your clients are on those 2 mediums. And then promptly answer queries and comments. And when you answer those queries and comments, let your personality shine through. Like, I think you want to be professional and you want to answer as an expert, but you can also kind of be like, okay, here's I don't know, 3 ways to hydrate. I find that the 3rd way is the easiest, or something like that. Just putting yourself a little bit in there is just going to make you more relatable and not so, not so much as like an antiseptic coach. And then when like one example is, so Bree back here in the corner, Brianna Bamer, coached me before she was on TrainingPeaks, or before she worked for TrainingPeaks. We were on TrainingPeaks together, but she had these boom workouts. Whenever I did a really good workout, she was like, boom goes the dynamite. And I was like, oh, I want one of those. I want one of those. And so that could be your trademark. I've got the boom workouts. And so then, when you go to sell your service, she's like, I've got a workout that'll get you your boom rates or something like that. And then interact with them as appropriate. If they're not on social media, then obviously you can't do it. If they have everything private, probably not a good idea to come in and barge in. But if they're good with them, I would definitely give them your sincere praise after a workout. And race time is, they're excited, you're excited, their family's excited, they have a great race, everybody's cheering for them. Get them during the whole training cycle. Get them after week 1. Get them like, oh my gosh, way to conquer Deer Canyon, Dimity, way to go, I'm so proud of you, or way to keep your legs strong, or just, whatever it happens to be, but be engaged with them the whole time, because then they're going to write back to you, and that'll get things going. Facebook, this was said yesterday, but don't just link to an article. Comment about it, have an opinion about it, ask a question. This one on the left, I asked about what are their dream races, if all expenses were paid, where would you go? And it was just fun, and then all of a sudden, I say I want to go to the Paris Marathon, and 4 people blow me like, oh, me too, and I went, and it was so fun. This Magdalena winning the Western States 100, I pulled out, I'm a writer, but I love to pull out quotes that resonate with me. This beautiful line, wherever we go, we carry our children with us. No matter how many miles I put between us, I'm always running back to my daughters. That's lovely writing and a lovely sentiment, and if that's the crowd that you're going for, that's how you put it up, in my mind. But don't overthink it, because then I was looking back to our post. I mean, this blew me away. Okay, so I don't even know what my virtual mission is. Does anybody know what that is? Anyone heard of it? No. Okay, well, they had a really brilliant idea, doing the whole, like, what's your off your porn name thing, right? Or whatever that thing was that we played when we were childhood. I mean, that's the biggest reach we've ever had, ever. Almost 300,000 people. And so I'm like, immediately I emailed our AMR team. I'm like, okay, what are things that we could do that are like this, But still, that's, super simple. Or even just 12-minute miles as far as a 6-minute mile. Like, just pull something off Pinterest. Still, that reached 71 shares. It reached a lot of people. And it's just a little inspiration. And it also shows your perspective that, hey, I'm pulling everybody in. And then we've talked a little bit about private Facebook pages. I can't tell you how much I would recommend doing this. If you have not done this, I would go home, and this is the one piece of social media that I would do. Because we did it for our first time for our Find Your Strong Marathon Challenge going on, just to see how it would go. And it has gone off. Because you get pinged in your little Facebook thing every time you do it, every time someone posts on that page. And that marathon, there's 150 athletes, and they're on it all day long. They're showing pictures of their runs. They're showing pictures of their recovery, of their G-rated ice baths. They're showing everything. And so it's just a nice place. It's a fairly private place to celebrate, share, ask questions. And you can be in there as well. You can kind of get it going, get the wheels turning, and then let the momentum carry it. So just stuff about a hard run in Hannibal, Missouri, needing a new sports bra, sharing a recipe. Other stuff that you can do on a private Facebook page that makes sense to me. You can get your gear swap going with your athletes if they have stuff they're not using. I would start it with myself. I've got, whatever, size 12, whatever, does anyone need them? I've got a pair of a set of aero bars that I'm not using anymore. Who could use them? Again, creating community. Create a playlist and then share it on Spotify. That's super easy to do, and there's, Lord knows, you spend a lot of time on the trainer just listening to nothing. Videos, forums, inspirational things. And then giveaways with marketing partners. Facebook has changed its rules. You can do giveaways now if you want. Other stuff, websites, pretty basic. The one thing that I would say, and it was brought up briefly, but I would get race reports from your athletes and post them. They will share them, and they are so proud to see themselves up there, and their pictures, grab 2 or 3 pictures. Often they'll write, 600 words to you anyway in an email about how it went, and all you have to do is clean it up a little bit and put it up. That is a no-brainer to me. Any post you could do, nothing over 800 words. Shorter is always better. Little bullet points are always better. Bite-sized stuff, always better. Because nobody reads anymore, in case you didn't know. Again, I mentioned the podcast, and we have a producer that puts up our podcast on iTunes and edits for us. I'm happy to share his name if anyone wants that information. But you can also, I just Googled start a basic podcast, and it's really not that hard. So if that's something that's interesting to you, I would look into that. And then an email newsletter is, if you do that, that's a little bit of a beautiful burden, in that you can tell what your stats are when people open it, but it's also, it's a lot of work to put together, and I like to do that kind of thing. So, but if it is, you gotta have good content, a reason for them to open. So 5 ways to get faster, 3 marathon power foods. A little magazine trick is they like odd numbers. You got to have an odd number and then a tip. So 3, 5, 7, 9, or 10. People like around 10 too, just FYI. In that email newsletter, you can celebrate your athletes and offer marketing deals. I'm on the fence about YouTube just because it is a lot of work unless you are a video person by nature. I've taught myself how to do this, but as you can see, like this trigger point kit at the beginning, we did a thing last year where we sent around an Ultimate 6, like this great self-therapy tools. 6 mother runners who have injuries. And it was a lot of work to get camera to them, tell them what to do, and then get it back and have me put together a video for 135 views. Not a good investment on my time. So, and especially because Trigger Point had something probably that was already better done than that. So I would probably skip YouTube videos if you're on the fence about them, but if you like to do them, go for it. And then you can sell yourself in innovative ways as well. It's not just you being out there, but you can also sell yourself creating a training gimmick. You've got Jeff Galloway with his run walk. You've got CTS with their 8 minutes, power, whatever they're called, power test at the beginning and the end of every training plan that make me sick just thinking about them right now. What else? Greg McMillan has his pace calculator, which I'm sure we all use. There's these things that you kind of relate to people. We are not quite at that level yet, but our training gimmick is that we're flexible. So every week of every training plan, there's a coffee cup. That means you can bail on the workout, and a water bottle. That means you must do it. So at worst case scenario, if you do no workout any week, get at least your water bottle workout in, and then we give them, a reason to, or a chance to bail too, if need be. So. Everyone has to do the miles, like don't get me wrong, but you can be known as the person who, coaches, 3 days a week. Or, when Bree coached me, I was like, I'm only doing 1 workout a day for Ironman. I am not a 2-a-day person. By 4 o'clock, I'm ready to crawl in bed and have a glass of wine, not in that order. And so we did it on 1 a day, We did it, I mean, sometimes they were long for sure, but I only showered once a day. And that was really important to me. That could be your thing, once a day Ironman. It could be, kill the hills cycling, whatever it is, something that like differentiates you. Oh, that's the coach that is really good at. Not just that's a really good triathlon coach, but I have this need, I want to fill it. Partner with gear companies or local stores or services. And cross-promote, and Ben did a talk this morning about this, and it's a lot of legwork and it's a lot of relationship building, but again, if it's something that you use and you trust and you like, it's worth your time to build those relationships. I like this one just because it would be fun on Twitter. I don't know exactly how it would work, but buy 2 races, get 1 free within a certain time. I don't know. I thought it was. Or buy 1, get 1 for your best running friend. We at Another Mother Runner, we say that best running friend is your most important piece of gear, because that person is your accountability tool, right? That's the one that you're not going to let them down. You'll lie in bed on a Friday morning and not get up, but if they're waiting for you at the gym or on the corner, you will not let them down. So encourage that friendship and do like a 2-for-1 training deal, or do straight for both of them. And then nutrition expert makes sense. I mean, you could partner and share services with them, especially marketing to women. Everybody wants to lose weight. A life coach is a little bit out there, a little new agey, but I will say that when again, coming from this like busy working mom perspective, like when I decide to train for a race, I kind of want to clean up the other areas of my life. I'm focused on this thing, and all of a sudden I can see a path and some direction and some confidence and some strength that I hadn't seen before. And it's not that you're going to want to, have a life coach session, every week, because that's probably going to be too much. But maybe it's like 3 sessions over the course of 5 months or something like that. Again, just thinking about different ways that you can enhance their life, totally, because that's why a lot of women are out there. And then strategic partnerships that, again, Ben talked about. And again, and a lot of it is the relationships and building that up, and not just saying, hey, I'm Dimity from Denver. I'm a great triathlon coach. Give shoes to all my athletes. That's not going to happen. But it can happen in a way that, if there is a product that you love and you can give feedback on and you can email them and engage with them, it can come back to you. The other thing is small companies want exposure. And so, like all those little ads in the back of Triathlete, if you see something that you're like, oh, I love that, or that would work really well with my athletes or my crowd, or the back of Runner's World, or a nutrition product that you love, or you met Alan here and you're like, oh, Scratch Labs, I think that would go really well, just email them and say, hey, can I distribute 20 sample packs to my athletes? People love getting that. And then you have a chance to kind of just establish a relationship there. And then they can also be the guinea pigs. Everybody, Goo wants to know if their maple bacon flavor is going to fly. So maybe you get 10 packets of those and send it out and send a little cheat sheet back to Goo. Again, Ben talked about running stores and running specialty stores, and yes, you've got to go in and create a relationship. You've got to go in and be at their training nights and get to know the crowd. But then once you get there and you have a chance to give some talks and hold group workouts, you can do something like my favorite tools for running season and create a really nice PDF with pictures of your 5 favorite pieces of gear that might, in fact, include some of the gear companies, like, oh, this is my favorite Ultimate Direction bottle, and they get 30% off if they buy any of it. And then again, like the local virtual businesses, I mean, you know, sports massage therapists you love, yoga studio you love, anything you use that you can endorse and you have a relationship with, I just think it works both ways. Get it going. And then finally, in-person stuff. You know, community workouts, I know they're a pain in the ass. I've held group runs where nobody shows up. I know that is a waste of time. That said, I think that they are valuable and they can be valuable. And if you set out a schedule with your athletes via email or Facebook or whatever and say, you know, for the next 3 months, every other Wednesday, we are meeting at the track, and I would love for you to bring your friends, your family, your coworkers. There's no charge for anybody, and create a workout that everybody can do. You know, so whether it's 400s or straights and curves or, you know, whatever, and help each person, touch each person. You know, oh, you're doing really well with your stride. Shorten your stride, swing your arms more. Whatever it is, just give them, you know, a little boost and a little energy and a little love, and maybe they'll come back to you. You know, I mean, it's a little bit of a crapshoot, but I also think the more you can touch people, the better off you're going to be. I mean, it's a one by one relationship. Social media certainly gets you a nice reach, but you reel them in one by one. Again, so local races and stores, you know, you could just, I think, you know, going in at that entry level is really smart. Beginner triathletes, how to foam roll, how to change a flat tire, you know, how to do a speed workout. What does 4x800 mean? I don't know. Can you explain it to me, and how would I pace myself? You know, again, that's second. Okay, that's kind of, you know, we know that in this room, but the world at large does not know that, and sometimes you forget that. A race, a local race. I mean, go to a 5K, go to a 10K, create a training plan for them, have them distribute it at registration, have it on their website, in the corner, very boldly, you know, Dimity McDowell, contact me with questions. Here's my email. I would love to help you. And by the way, on this 10-mile run on Saturday, we're meeting at Fleet Feet to do it together. And, you know, and we have 5 group runs, and they're all on that training, that PDF. And so you do that for a couple 5Ks, you do that for a couple 10Ks. All of a sudden, you know, you might be doing it for the Twin Cities Marathon, and your name is out there, or a sprint, and all of a sudden you're working with a Danskin Triathlon. You know, it's just, again, just chipping away bit by bit. And then cheer on your athletes. This is my glory shot. It's my favorite shot from Ironman, and it's me and Bree afterwards, and it says a lot about how important a coach is. And so when you can be there for your athlete, be there. Really do. I mean, be there to cheer them on, take pictures of them, hang out after the race, you know, be part of their success. And then post those pictures. Post them. You know, again, like, be there in person, and then throw it up on social media and ask them to write a race report. And if you can't, of course, send them best wishes on social media. And then my last point, swag. Everyone says that they don't need it, don't love it, but they do. And t-shirts, so this is the t-shirt that we send out for our challenges, or we're going to send out in October, Found My Strong. This is the gear package, or the training package that we sent out at the beginning of the challenges. And that's results of really hard work on our part, but then that's not saying you can't do something like that. Even just buying them at Costco and sending them out at the beginning. You know, just saying, hey, I'm so excited to be working with you. Here's 3 goo packets. I'm with you to help you fuel every mile. You know, just something kind of clever and creative. You know, you can send it to them on their birthday, 2 weeks before their race, whatever. Just thinking about how you can keep encouraging them and create that community. And there you go. So I hope that was helpful. I don't know.